Berger, your political hitman here on Israel News Talk Radio. Welcome back to the program. In Israel, you could call 02-650-0151. In North America, 301-768-4841. I'm a little upset. I'm quite upset actually, because look, I've been holding people to task all week, because they've been supporting the group Black Lives Matters, and this group is anti-Israel, and the people who claim to be pro-Israel have been supporting a group that is blatantly anti-Israel, and this really bothers me. And when I hold them to task, these people call me a racist. How am I a racist by not supporting an organization that wants my destruction and destruction of my people? I don't understand the concept. Most of these people are millennials. I have one on the phone, a millennial on the phone. He's not one that gave me hell all week, but he's a millennial, and I'd like to talk to him. His name's Noah. Hi, Noah. Welcome to the program.
What's good? What's good? True Talk Radio. How are you, Howie?
I am good. How are you? It's Israel News Talk Radio for this show. Now, Noah, you're in your 20s.
Yep.
And you consider yourself a Zionist?
A Zionist? Yeah, I consider myself a Zionist.
All right. So have you been supporting Black Lives Matters for the last couple of weeks?
Like, support, I haven't been going to the rallies, but I support the movement.
Okay. Why do you support the movement?
I support the movement because I believe that, like, black people deserve justice in the States, and that's the part of the movement that I stand for.
Okay, so is it possible to stand for part of a movement and not the full movement? So when you throw your support behind a movement, is it possible to throw your support behind part of a movement and ignore the rest of it?
I think so. Yeah, I believe that.
Why? Why would you believe that?
Because it's like same thing with like politics, I guess, right? Like you could support there's different people running, and you could support a certain person but not agree with all their policies.
But if you're electing a person, you're electing their entire platform. So if they say that, look, we're going to give everybody $500 a week as supplementary income, and we're going to put rainbows on every street corner, but we're also going to go and kill all people whose names start with the letter G.
Much less dope.
I could say I support that, but I don't support that. But if I elect the guy, I'm electing all of that, aren't I?
Yeah, but over here, the movement isn't actually making decisions for the country, right? They're just like...
But they are.
Huh?
But they are.
How?
Well, haven't they been yelling defund the police, and aren't there cities now talking about defunding the police? So these are decisions that are being made by Black Lives Matter for the entire country.
But I think the movement of the saying of Black Lives Matter doesn't actually represent the movement of Black Lives Matter, the organization itself.
Okay.
At least, like...
I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying.
The majority of people, they don't know anything about the actual organization of Black Lives Matter. They'll just, like... They just believe that Black Lives Matter, so they say it, and they support that Black Lives do matter.
Well, one second. If you're supporting...
They support the statement, I think.
If you're supporting an organization called Black Lives Matter, and I'm talking about the organization, of course, Black lives, white lives, all lives matter. So that's undisputable, right? And indiscriminate killing of anybody is absolutely reprehensible. But at the same time, if there's a group called Black Lives Matter and you're supporting that group, and that group is calling for the destruction of the state of Israel, calls Israel an apartheid state and calls for the destruction of the state of Israel, supports the BDS movement, which is basically calling for the genocide of the Jewish people living in the state, how could any Jew who supports Israel throw their support behind a group like that?
Again, it's just okay. Yeah, for the group, the movement and the group.
I'm being genuine. I'm being genuine here. No, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to understand.
No worries. I'm also pretty bad at speaking in general,
That's
but
okay.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like you have to distinguish between the movement and the organization, right? Like people who are talking about like that say that they support Black Lives Matter, like. Right now, what's going on in the media and everything, what's in their mind isn't everything that Black Lives Matter supports, right? Everything that it stands for in the organization itself. It's the movement that's going on now that they're saying they're supporting.
Okay.
And I think it's implied when people say Black Lives Matter, they're talking about the movement of that's going on now, which has nothing to do with Israel.
But the movement that's going on now is being coordinated by a group that is anti-Israel. So it kind of goes one in the hand. Look, even last week, as close as last week, the movement Black Lives Matters reaffirmed their commitment to BDS and the destruction of the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So seeing people...
But I think the movement has outgrown the actual group itself. Like the average Black Lives Matter supporters, they're not anti-Zionist.
Okay, but shouldn't when someone gets involved in a group, shouldn't they be doing the research to understand what the group's about before they jump whole hog into it?
But they're not getting involved in the group. The people protesting aren't getting involved in the group. They're just protesting against police brutality, right? They're not protesting against Israel or anything like that.
Okay. Okay, so let me move on because I understand what you're saying, that you're making a differentiation between the protest against police brutality and the group running the protest against police brutality. I understand that you're kind of separating the two in your mind. Fine, I get it. Are you in favor of white people getting on their knees and apologizing for their whiteness?
Like getting on their knees? Like, sure, we could get on our knees. I wouldn't be opposed to that,
Why?
But
why would you support something like that?
Getting on my knees and saying sorry for like the past. I mean, my past.
Sorry,
people didn't do anything.
Sorry that I'm
At least
white.
that I know of. But in general, like an apology doesn't hurt, and it doesn't. It's not really hard to do.
But okay. But what are you apologizing for? What would these people be apologizing
Me specifically?
for? No, not you. You've seen. I'm sure you've seen the same news pieces I've seen of people standing on their knees apologizing to black people, washing their feet and apologizing to them. What would they be apologizing for? Slavery ended 280 years ago.
Well, I don't think apologizing is actually like necessary. I think we need to focus on the reparations. Give the black people the reparations.
Reparations for what?
Reparations for slavery. They worked hard and they didn't get anything.
But that was 280 years ago. Nobody alive today was a slave.
But from what I'm told in the Constitution after like the Civil War, it was written in the Constitution that they would get reparations, and specifically 40 acres of land and a mule.
Okay.
And they didn't get any of that.
1864. It's 2020.
Yeah, but it's in the Constitution. It never happened. Live up to your promise.
1864 was the Emancipation Proclamation. It's 2020. Who from 1864 could demand reparations that's still alive today?
Well, the reparations, not getting the reparations caused a huge divide in economics between blacks and whites. And it had huge repercussions because of it. So if the reparations were in place, then the present would have been much more different. So it's the government today that should take action against that. Like the Amérindiens, like
okay.
I'm not really sure what was happening there, but like
we
like took their land, destroyed their communities, and now we give them reparations even though they're still screwed.
Okay, so the black people in the States should be treated like the Amerindians. So we should put them into reservations.
No, not like the Amerindians. Oh, no. The Aborigines are treated like shit.
Yeah.
Do you support like Germany giving reparations to Israel?
No, I never did. I don't believe in blood money. No. I never supported that. No.
All right.
I supported Germany giving reparations to people who were held slave labor in Germany, but that was only done for the generation that was held in slave labor in Germany. Once that generation died off, which is pretty much now, that reparation stopped.
I hear you.
But their descendants are not.
If the reparations never took place.
Yeah, their descendants still would not.
The repercussions of it are still taking place. Should they not be like, what's it called, responsible to fix the problem that they started?
I would not support paying reparations to descendants of Holocaust survivors. No.
What if the Holocaust survivors never got their reparations in the first place?
Well, many didn't, and many died before reparations were given, and I still don't support their descendants getting reparations.
All right.
The suffering.
So I guess we agree to disagree there.
Yeah, the suffering was done by the suffering was incurred by the people who were actually held as slaves. Once they died, that suffering ended, and reparations in future generations is just silly, in my opinion.
But I think also black people should get reparations for what happened after, even after like what's it called, black people got civil rights and everything. Like with all I don't know. I saw the documentary 13 like 2 days ago or something.
Yeah, I saw it.
And shit's crazy, man. Shit's crazy. Did you see that documentary?
Yes, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, a lot of the footage I've seen before. I mean, that was just civil rights footage, so there's a lot of stuff that I've seen before. But yeah, I saw that. I saw the documentary. But I also
so they get reparations for what they what the government did, like
by that logic, should women get reparations too? I mean, they didn't get the right to vote till 1921. They weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to.
The right to vote.
They weren't allowed to work until the 1950s, and the only reason they were allowed to work was because men went to war, so women had to work. Do you think they should get reparations for all the lost wages that they lost between, I don't know, beginning of time and 1940 ish?
All right, fair enough. But women didn't build the country, right? Black people
women did build the country.
The economic backbone of the country.
Well, so were women during World War II. All the men were at war. Women were building the country. No, I have to ask you to hold on because we have to go to break. So just hold on 1 second, okay?
All right.
You're listening to Political Hitman here on Israel News Talk Radio. I'm Howie Silberger. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back just after this.
And we're off?
Yeah. That was fun.
Good segment.
Yeah. Noah?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we'll be back on in about a minute and a half.
All right, no problem.
All right, hold on a second. I'm Howie Silberger, your political hitman here on Israel News Talk Radio. You could join me in the chat room by going to israelnewstalkradio.com and clicking on that chat room button right there on the top of the page. You could also call in by calling the numbers on the top of the page. I'll give them to you, but they're right there on the top of the page on Israel News Talk Radio. The number in North America, 301-768-4841. In Israel, the number is 02-6500-151. I have on the line Noah. He's a millennial, and we're talking about reparations and things that should happen in his mind that should happen when it comes to fixing the perceived problem with blacks in the United States. Noah, thank you for sticking around.
No problem. Just quick question.
Yeah.
My roommate's taking a shower. Do you hear the water? Is it annoying?
I do not hear anything.
All right, perfect.
Now, Noah, let me ask you. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you believe that reparations should be paid for slavery that was almost 300 years ago?
Yeah, slavery and what's going on with the prisons also. But yeah, slavery mostly.
Okay. So, and you also believe that maybe women should be paid reparations for not being able to do what they wanted to do from the beginning of time till about 1940-ish.
So when you said that, I mentioned how like black people actually built like the economy of America was like black people were the backbone of that because it was free labor, and still is with the prison type thing. Like not free exactly, but pretty much.
Okay.
So
And
that's a big part of why they should get reparations.
and women who worked for 5 years while men were off at war didn't build the country at all?
Well, they got paid for their work, right?
Well, they got paid minimum wage.
They got paid minimum wage. Black people didn't get paid, and they worked without any like union or anything, like under horrible conditions.
Well,
Like worse than horrible conditions.
during slavery 270 years ago. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but today they get paid when they work.
Today they get paid when they work outside of prison, but in prison they make less than $1 an hour.
Well, in prison everybody makes less than $1 an hour.
But they were locked. Like a lot of them were locked up for like dumb stuff, like things you shouldn't be in prison for so long for, and like
Like
your
what?
life taken away for,
Like what?
like possession of drugs.
Okay. So the possession of drugs are illegal?
Hmm?
Possession of drugs are illegal?
Yeah, possessions of drugs are illegal.
So if you're convicted of possessing drugs, do you not go to prison for that? If it's illegal?
You do clearly. I mean,
So,
I
I
think
don't
drugs should
understand-
be
I don't understand your
decriminalized,
argument.
But like, other than that, like that's not the law in the states, so that's useless either way. I don't know why I brought that up.
Okay.
But what were we saying? Yeah, the war on drugs, right?
Yeah.
By Reagan or whatever.
Yeah. Ronald Reagan, the president? Yeah.
Yeah. Like the war on drugs had a motive behind it to just like fill up the prisons. Like it wasn't because they thought it was right or anything like that.
Why would they want to fill up the prisons?
Because of free labor. It was
So let me understand. The prisons were manufacturing things. So Ronald Reagan and the Republicans hatched a plan to arrest half the country to build stuff in prison.
sorry.
So I'm just trying to understand what the argument here is that the country was lacking in factories. So Ronald Reagan had people charged and convicted to go to prison to build stuff.
Not lacking in factories, just lacking in slavery.
Oh. So
Right? It's like modern day slavery, pretty much.
okay, so they filled the prisons up to enslave people.
Well, yeah. If you look at like the percentage that the states has of prisoners versus the world, like I think they have like 20-something% of the world's prison population,
Okay.
which is pretty ridiculous. They were fully filling up the prisons so that they could get labor, and also like companies, like and prison, like privatized prisons,
Yeah.
would lobby with politicians so that they would make laws to benefit them.
Interesting. All right, I've never heard the theory before, so it's interesting. I'm finding it fascinating, actually. Okay, so we have modern day slavery in the prisons. Does that still exist today?
It's in the amendment, like the 13th Amendment says that slavery is illegal. Like I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing, obviously. Slavery is illegal except if somebody does a crime, they are allowed to be enslaved.
Yeah, because you have to lock them up and put them into a cage.
And work without pay.
Right, because it's prison.
I think if you're working in a prison, you should get paid. I mean, not less than $1 an hour, because it also costs money to fund the prisons and to like.
Do you think prisoners? You think prisoners should pay rent for their cells?
No.
Why? If they're gonna, if you could pay them a regular wage, why shouldn't they pay rent?
Yeah, of course. If you could pay them a regular wage, maybe. I don't know. I haven't thought about these things, you know.
Okay. All right. And the last thing they're demanding now is to defund the police. Do you agree with defunding the police?
No, I don't agree with defunding the police. I saw something that one of the states, like Minneapolis or something, was defunding the police. That's just a bad idea because they're just gonna bring the military in, and that's horrible.
Okay, so you think it's a bad idea to defund the police because the military will come in, not because.
Well, not just that. It's also like an established thing. I think it's better to change laws that the police have to abide, like making sure, let's say, a police officer, right? So if a police officer commits something illegal, does something illegal, and another police officer sees him doing that, and then since they have a code among them or whatever, they can't report each other because then everyone would hate that person or whatever, then there should be a law saying if you know that a police officer committed a crime, you have to give it in or else you're accountable for the same crime or something like that.
Right.
Also, maybe like body cams on cops, stuff like that.
Okay, but they're asking for a complete abolishment of the police force.
No, that I don't agree with.
But you haven't given the reason that maybe citizens would be more in danger.
More in danger if the cops weren't there?
Yeah. Do you think that would happen? That citizens
Yes.
would perhaps be more in
by,
danger?
Don't break it down because it's already an established thing. Then there's nothing to enforce law. Yeah.
Okay.
Except if the military comes in, which I think everyone would agree would be worse.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I really don't know. I haven't thought about the. I didn't even think about the aspect of the military coming in to maintain law and order. I just thought about if you disband the police department, you're going to have anarchy and chaos.
I think the government wants to disband the police. Like maybe, what do I know? But like maybe the government wants to disband the police to bring the military in, to have an excuse.
So you think that the government is fascist and wants to become a fascist state?
Man,
a police state.
Didn't hear it from me, man. Didn't hear it from me, even though I'm recorded.
All right. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion.
I have no idea what. I don't actually know what the definition of fascism is, so I don't really know. I can't answer that.
I believe I taught you the definition of fascism.
Man, a long time ago.
Maybe
Not the strongest memory with all the weed I was smoking.
Maybe 8 years ago or 9 years ago when you were in my class. just to explain to people who are listening so they understand.
All right. Am I allowed to say things like that on the air?
Yeah, no, we're on the air now, and yeah, I would have cut you off if you weren't.
Okay, cool.
Noah, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
It's been fun.
Talk.
It's been fun, and please feel free to call in anytime. I really enjoy talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. And there you have it. So he's 20 odd years old, and this is what he believes in, and you have to respect this belief, and you have to respect that he had the guts to come onto the air and talk to me about it. I respect Noah tremendously for taking the initiative to come and do this, and I thank him for taking the time to be on the show with me. I appreciate him, and I appreciate the fact that it gives me some perspective on how millennials think. So they separate the rallies and the riots and the protests from the organization that is organizing the protest, except for the ones that are actually raising money for that organization. Most people are separating one and the other, which I find phenomenally interesting. That you could go to support, you could go and throw your support behind a cause being run by an organization, but not necessarily want to throw your support behind the organization. But by throwing your support behind a cause, you're indirectly throwing your support behind the organization. I understand the dynamic there, and I understand what's going on, and I find it inherently interesting. Paying reparations, I don't agree with paying reparations. Now, I will agree to disagree with Noah on that one. I don't agree with paying reparations. Slavery ended 270 years ago. There is 260, 65, somewhere around 270 years ago. There is absolutely nobody alive that was a black slave in the United States today. Forcing white people to get on their knees and apologize for slavery, forcing white people to pay reparations to blacks, claiming that white people have white privilege. And I didn't ask Noah about white privilege. I probably should have asked him that. I forgot, and I didn't ask him that. Claiming that white people have white privilege is in itself a form of racism. When you are judging somebody based on their skin color, that is racist. You're being racist. Martin Luther King said it clearly, and I still believe in what he said. I long for the day where we judge people based on their virtue, not based on their color of skin. I'm Howie Silberger. This is Political Hitman. You could call in. Numbers are on the top of the page on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. In North America at 301-768-4841. In Israel, 02-6500-151. You could always join me in the chat room on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I'm live in the chat room the entire show. I will be back just after this. I don't understand how we're holding people responsible, how people are being held responsible for things that happened so long ago. It doesn't make sense. It's totally illogical. Having people kneel and apologize for their whiteness. Wow. To me, it's horrific. Now, I know a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. You can disagree all you want, but to me, it's horrific. There was a picture I posted earlier in the week of a black woman. She has a stick and a chain attached to the stick, and attached to the chain are two or three white guys with shirts on that say "I'm sorry," and the chains they're shackled around their necks and on their legs, and they're marching behind her. This is normal? This is how we respect? We just talked about the Ten Commandments just a couple of weeks ago. This is how we respect our neighbors? This is how we treat each other? It's shameful. And how is it acceptable to be racist against white people when it's unacceptable to be racist against black people or any other people? How is one form of racism, judging somebody based on the skin color, something they have no control over, something they're born with and have no control over, how is that acceptable to anyone's mind? Why would that be acceptable to anybody? I don't understand it. It makes very little sense to me. And it gets me upset. It gets me upset because I don't believe that we should be judging people based on their skin color. Because I don't believe that people should be held accountable for things that happened centuries ago. Because I don't believe that because some great-great-great-grandfather was oppressed, that somebody has more rights than somebody else in society. I actually believe that we're all equals. And if you want to do well in society, you could do well by working hard and building yourself up and doing well. Same way everyone else does. Did the black community have a problem in the past? Yes, they did. Were there programs implemented to change things? Yes, there were. The Affirmative Action Program was implemented in the late 70s, which required companies to hire black people over white people. Reverse racism. It evened the playing field, apparently. That was the plan, to even the playing field. But it also taught society that racism is okay in certain circumstances. So, while it was okay to favor somebody because of their skin color, not their qualifications, their skin color, to get a job, that was okay. Then suddenly this idea that certain people have a higher ranking in society than other people took a hold. I mean, that's where it comes from. I mean, yeah, you could say that, okay, the slave owners claimed they had a higher ranking, but that situation was a little different. After emancipation, everybody was considered equal. Now, not everybody was treated equal. In certain areas of the United States, it was worse than in other areas. So naturally, not everybody was treated equal. But once integration happened, and once equality happened, and I hate that word equality, because that's the way it was described in the American lore. It's described as, blacks were considered equals. They shouldn't have been considered equals. It shouldn't have been equality. It should have been equity. There's a difference between equality and equity. So equality, everybody's equal. Everybody has the equal chance to do everything. But that's not really what happened. It should have been called equity, because what happened was that the playing field was changed. So now not everybody was standing on the same level. Now, white people were dropped and black people were elevated. And so here we are. We're at a point in history now where these groups were waiting for a catalyst. They were waiting for something to happen. before they went and and started this chaos that they've started. And you see this happening every few years. They'll pick one case of police violence or one case of something happening, and off they'll go. And off they'll go, rioting and destroying the country. And demanding these crazy demands like defund the police or pay reparations or subjugate yourself to me, my serf. I am your master, you are the serf. Bow to me and apologize for the misgivings of your nation. Let me be clear. The murder of George Floyd was horrific. The murderers of George Floyd should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. No question about it. The rioters were horrific. The rioters, those who were arrested, should be prosecuted. They're being released now, but they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. They destroyed people's lives too. They killed a bunch of people. The protesters protesting peacefully have every right to protest peacefully. Go ahead, protest. The ones who are forcing people to bow to them should be arrested. They should be arrested because they are racist and subjugating another race. They are trying to force their supremacy over somebody else, and that should be illegal. I have a question that came in from Periscope. Why do you think this happens? I have a simple answer. These groups that Antifa and all these Black Lives Matters, all these racist, violent, hateful groups are funded by big corporations. And the reason they're funded by big corporations is quite simple. When they riot and they cause trouble and they hurt people and they destroy property, what they're doing is they're scaring governments. And when they scare governments, then governments kind of bow to their demands. They don't want their cities destroyed. They can't afford to rebuild them, and they don't want to lose the election. So they bow to their demands. And so part of the demands always have to do with deregulations. So these big corporations suddenly get deregulated. So taking away the police, suddenly you're taking away enforcement of regulations, which means that big corporations that have factories will not live up to the standards of their factory. Other corporations will not live up to environmental standards or any other kind of standards. There's always an ulterior motive to all riots and civil unrest. There's always somebody pulling the strings in the background, somebody paying for it. And when you finally get to the background and you finally figure out who's paying for it, you realize that the motives aren't necessarily what the media is selling you. The story isn't necessarily what the media is selling you. I always say, and I've said this every single show, go research, look back, watch the video footage, research, figure out who's behind everything. When you figure out who the source is, you'll understand the motive. When you understand the motive, you'll realize that you're being played by the media. Simple as that. A video came out today of the precursor to the murder of George Floyd. He was resisting arrest. It's clear on the video that he was resisting arrest. Doesn't excuse his murder, but it might explain why the police got a little rougher on him. Still doesn't excuse his murder. You got to keep looking, and you got to understand that not all the information is released to you, and we don't have all the information that we might need to make a educated choice. That's it for me. I'm out of time. I want to wish you a great week. I'll see you again next week, God willing, because this is what we do. We do this once a week, and I hope you stay safe, and I hope you come back next week. I'm Howie Silberger, this is Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio.